All right, welcome to Pass the Mic. It is Friday, October 10th, 2025, episode 180. Holy cow, we're moving right up the numbers here. We're going to be at 200 before we know it.
Oh man, I can't wait. And we have to start talking about that big November call-in episode. We're
Yeah,
getting
that's
there.
because it was right at the end of cross country season when we started it, so we're getting closer. What's 3 year anniversary? Four?
Four,
Three?
4 year,
Four.
four.
Holy cow. I'm bad with numbers like that. I thought this was my 27th year in education. It's my 28th.
Wow, look at
Yeah,
you.
I know. I wouldn't. I already have 27.7 years of service according to the pension service plus the five, so 32.7
You're
as
getting
of right
old,
now.
man.
I am getting old. I am getting old. But hey, that's good. Every other year is a little more in the check once we retire, right?
Yeah, every day you set a new consecutive day streak too. I heard that in a
Yes.
movie once.
Okay.
Oh man. I have a glass up right now, and Dennis the cat is trying to tip this glass over. I may have to.
Do we need to pause?
I'll let you know. His head is currently in in the glass. It's great for the viewer to see this or listener to see this. Pretty
Well,
cool.
in all fairness, Ella just woke up. She was barking right before we started. I don't know. She may have to go out and I'm the only one home. So we may have to, we both may have to pause and take care of our animals.
Yeah, for sure, for
So
sure.
that'll be a pass the mic first. All right. Feedback and errors. Tom Pack with another great photo collage. You got a lot of pictures from the homecoming extravaganza. A lot
Yeah.
of because we talked about being parents too, so we had some nice pictures of there with us and our kids as well. I believe in there, and so again, Tom always deserves a big shout out there. The Ren Dog has been working like crazy. Worked the country concert at U of M, right? Like you ended up finding out that he works for someone you had as a guest speaker, right?
Yeah, that's his boss actually, the Ren Dog's
Yeah.
boss. So that pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So he was at the country concert. He worked the U of M games. He's been working Comerica. These, by the way, Tigers win today. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert. I guess it's not really a spoiler alert. Uh,
Yeah.
is the
Game
last game
five,
Friday?
it's
Today? Do they
Friday, so it'll be the day that the episode is coming out. So yeah, we'll
wouldn't it,
see.
of all irony, because when this series started, everyone's like, well, they're going to win the 2 game school pitches. Wouldn't
Oh
irony,
God.
wouldn't I,
Oof.
I'm not trying to Kent and Max, this isn't a jinx, but wouldn't irony of all irony if they lose those 2 games? Like those are the two they lose.
I wonder if they're gonna get mad at you for that though. They really got mad at me the other day. They didn't
I
get
would
as
just
mad at you.
I would just think it'd be ironic that that's all, you know. Like obviously, right now, if I mean, to me, like home field in baseball is not that. I don't know. It just doesn't hold that big of a deal.
Well, they got mad at me, just to be clear, for the listener to know, because I, right in the first quarter, said the Lions were going to win the game. Or was that you?
You did the football game. I did the baseball game.
Okay. And I was called names. For some reason,
They
they
ignored
refrained from
us
calling
they
you
ignored me in the baseball game. Well, the fact of the matter is the Bengals are awful.
awful.
And
Although
yes.
they just got a little better because they got Joe Flacco. That's how bad they are at the
Oh my
moment.
goodness, that's funny. And so yeah, and then yeah, so the Lions got to see Flacco when they beat him with the Browns, but they didn't get to see him
Yeah,
with the Bengals. So
correct.
any other feedback you got?
I got quite a bit. The Ren
Yeah.
Dog was thrilled with. He loved the hot mic take of Natalia winning homecoming queen. He's with us on Michigan beating Wisconsin, which we were right. State losing to Nebraska, which we were right. Lions spanking Cincinnati, which everybody thought except for Max and Kent. He predicted the Ren Dog predicted the Tigers and Mariners going five, with the Tigers somehow finding a way to get it done.
Let me say this
Um,
about the state game. They played better than I thought, and they were in it for a little bit, and then
the
it
bottom
seems
fell
like
out.
it
Yeah.
reminds me of like the Steeler game against Seattle, like when you botch that, like man, it's a killer when you turn over a kickoff.
Yeah.
It's just a
Although in
man.
the state game they did it right away and they recovered. I don't know if psychologically they took the lead actually, and
Yeah, but I'm talking
then
about later in the game when Nebraska tied it up.
was that? I don't think that was on a kickoff though,
I
was it?
thought it was the kickoff. I thought it was the kickoff after it was 21-21.
Maybe you're right. I thought the kickoff happened early.
State fumbled the kickoff. There's another one. They fumbled the kickoff, and Nebraska scored 14 points in the matter of. Yeah, it's
I
just a
see.
killer.
You're right. Full disclosure, I didn't get to watch too much of it. I watched a little bit, but I was at the band show the other day, and I was watching more of Penn State's meltdown against UCLA.
Which that
Um,
was fun. That was good to see.
really, man, it's like I feel bad for Franklin.
I don't.
Um, no,
No, they're just. I mean, I mean, you got to win that game. Like, there's no excuse. Like that's not like to me. It's I still think State will beat UCLA this weekend in East Lansing.
Agree.
So who knows? I think what the Big Ten is going to find is traveling to these games to California and the West Coast is tough for kids. They're still kids, and it's just not. It's hard for pros
It's hard for
when
pros. You're right.
yeah, like so. I mean, that just adds an extra layer that you never really had in the Big Ten before. The furthest you were doing was like Rutgers to Nebraska, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple other things here. The Ren Dog called for me to get muted for the first 5 minutes after I cussed, talking about the Boomerang soundtrack, out of the blue, Bobby Brown fans that you are. Peyote, I'm just gonna say this now because this is a quote. The song Gervasi couldn't mention was called Hot Sex by a Tribe Called Quest.
Okay.
So that was
Yeah, we
what I
don't have
couldn't
the
mention.
editing. That's fine. We're still family friendly. That's a
We are still family friendly. Also, a Peyote flex. This is Max to start the show.
oh yeah,
Um,
that was that was Shayla Gomez's, congratulating me, saying I was the GOAT sub.
you always
I
find a way to circumvent the system, though, and flex. I agree with Max on this one. You were doing it, so um, it would have been a perfect segue to bring up the hammock story. This is Max again. Um, Total coincidence. Max's dad, Gary Bailey, set Max up on the hammock to see if it would fall when Max laid on it. So that was
Yes, this is the hammock story. And he sent
this is
another email this week about a news story involving a hammock with a deer getting caught in it. I think we've mentioned hammocks so often. I think they're gonna change the heading of our show from education to life and leisure.
yeah, I think you're right. That would
I'm still not laying in one.
oh, that's so funny. Um, so lastly, Deontay, every time I think the listeners are gonna love this if you've seen the movie. Have you seen Beverly Hills Cop 2?
I have, but it's been so long because I know, I've seen one. Yes.
So this is Deontay. Every time Gio or Peyote say a curse word on the pod, I feel like saying Axel's line from Beverly Hills Cop 2, and it kind of goes from there. Gio, that's me, is definitely Rosewood. That makes you Taggart. Now, if you don't remember, Rosewood was Judge Reinhold, and
Judge
you're
Reinhold
Taggart.
and then the older, grumpier guy. Yeah, I remember those two guys. Those were great
So,
characters.
and Antoine pointed out, you can never, if this is you, Mike, can never find the right bleep button to press.
That's
Um,
true. We don't have them labeled in all honesty. And we haven't, when we get steady into the studio, I get a little better, but we've been zooming and who's zooming who back and forth. So,
Right. Deontay, I agree. The first verse of game, the first, I think what he's the games are overrated. He is in the on the West Coast, so the 6:30 games, it'd be 6:30 for them, the 9:30 games for us.
oh my
So
goodness. Yeah, that's
yeah,
tough.
right. Which is interesting because Todd Bailey's overrated was people that whine about the year. Todd Bailey being another frequent
Oh,
listener, people that
yeah.
whine about the games. Um, Kennedy Perkupchik. Kennedy jumped in this week. She went to the Michigan game. She
Yep.
predicted 38-10, so she predicted Wisconsin score correctly. Unfortunately, Michigan more
Yeah.
offensive goals
Speaking
than
of that,
for.
Wisconsin hung around. Speaking of hanging around, Wisconsin hung around in that game,
I mean, they scored. Now they only scored 3 points after the first drive.
but their
Uh,
defense played pretty
Defense,
well for,
and I didn't realize their defense is so highly rated statistically. I'd like to know how they did against Alabama because that's probably the only good team that they faced. But I think it's more of a indictment on Michigan's offense, frankly. I could be wrong. They got a little bit of wide receiver play for the first time the other day. Both starting wideouts are pretty good, including a freshman. More on that later when we talk about the
yes, we do
Michigan
our
LSU
picks.
game. Yeah. So, but Kennedy was at the game the other day, and she noticed or she took a nice picture of
Yeah,
the
it was a very nice
sunset.
picture. It was nice. And yeah, she was in Marauder Stadium. So yeah.
Yeah, Gary Bailey, wife and I were in the MSP returning to DTW. Lots of alphabet soup there. We witnessed two policemen guards escorting a middle-aged man handcuffed behind the back through the airport. I'll save the rest. Yep, there's and Todd Bailey. Here we go. Overrated, whining about NFL in Europe. Underrated, the host city. Munich treats NFL game like a Super Bowl. It's a great experience. So that's an interesting point of view too. I never thought about that, but that's pretty cool to know that.
All right. Excellent.
That's all I got.
Anything else? All right. Well, I got my mic of the week. Are you familiar with Reading Rainbow, PBS?
I'm not.
Well, it's still around. When I heard about this show coming back, I thought PBS was banned or cut or the funding was cut, but I guess it's still around because it's coming back and there's a new host and his name is Michael Threets. If I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. By the way, it's spelled Mychal. Have you ever seen that one before?
I have former NBA player Michael Thompson, number one overall
That's
pick
how
in
it
the
was
draft.
spelled with a
That's
Y.
what it's spelled.
All right,
Yes.
so he's born February 13th, 1990. He's known on social media as Michael the Librarian. So that's why I had to do concession stand guru. Michael the Librarian's already taken. I can't I can't steal this guy's thunder.
Gotcha.
Uh
Hey, Mike, real quick, how do you spell his name? Was it Mychael?
Mychal, no E.
Okay, that's exactly how Michael Thompson, the basketball
Okay.
player, was pronounced. So
All right.
okay,
So he's from
apologize
Fairfield,
for check.
California. He did like upbeat viral videos with book recommendations, anecdotes, and library affirming messages. Got a communications degree from the University of Phoenix, and then his master's of library and information science from the San Jose State University. He is now in September of 25. He is now the new host of Reading Rainbow. So it's just fresh and started. So Michael Threets, I'm guessing it's
Cool.
Threets, Threets. Looks like a pretty cool dude. And he's like this 35, good for him. It's also cool to see librarians out there and doing stuff. So his father is African American while his mother is Mexican. I
Okay.
was very shy and experienced anxiety and depression. Homeschooled during elementary school and spent a lot of time in the library.
Do you think he has a student teacher?
It's called a practicum student, and maybe he. I don't. It sounds like he worked. He is in the public library sector, which I am in the school library sector.
Oh,
So
my bad.
yes. So
Hey,
uh,
can I come back to something real quick? We got to give a
sure,
shout out to somebody else. I didn't realize this. Your brother-in-law commented on our Facebook page on
Jim.
the Jim
Yeah.
Burrito.
What do you say?
Sounds deep regarding our episode. So he's
Oh,
talked to me about the podcast several times that when we're sitting at soccer games. He's very curious. I don't think he is tuned in yet, but I do think we might
so
be
he's
getting a call in November.
okay. You might be doing the call in.
He might be.
Speaking of another shout out, Les, one of my cart guys, an older gentleman, his granddaughter was actually one of my library research students years ago. She now teaches in Flat Rock. Ashley said to the other day, and he was talking to the other cart guys, like, pass the mic. It's the podcast. I listened to it a few times. So, Les, if you're listening, he listens to a lot of country music when we're at work, but every once in a while he throws in some pass
Tuned
the
in
mic, I
us.
guess.
So
Yeah. So,
less is more, if you will. Get it?
yeah,
Okay.
very good. So, he likes our sports talk.
Really?
So there we go. Maybe he's investing his golf checks on our picks. I hope not. Well, the
Let's say
college
yeah.
picks. We've been good with college, so follow us for college, not for pros.
I mean, I predicted the Lions win every game so far. They're 4-1,
Yeah.
so I haven't done that bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Education topic this week. I was thinking about it because I don't know, just use the state budget, I think was in my mind. The state budget did get done.
It got done.
We'll give credit to Lansing. And I'll also say this. There was never really this panic, I don't think. There's panic from the media and people
No,
outside.
you're
But
right.
I remember telling Kyle Oliveira, it's very quiet. Back years ago, back in the Granholm years, man, people were chirping at each other, being nasty. I remember footage from Lansing, like late at night. This one, there was like no news. And the old saying, no news is good news. I really think that's what it was. You weren't hearing anything. They were just saying, here's what could happen. But like the politicians involved weren't talking to the media, which told me,
Yeah,
I remember telling Kyle this. I go, it's probably going to get settled because they're not out bickering. They're not bad mouthing each other. And sure
no,
enough, that's what happened.
there's no what's happening on a national level was not on the state level.
No,
We
and
are
I give credit to both the Republicans and the Democrats. They had to do it though because in a way they have to do it in Washington too because you need 60 votes in the Senate. So you
correct.
had to do it, and they did it. And like, did Whitmer get everything she wanted? No. Did Speaker Hall get everything he wanted? No. I saw like Senator Camilleri, former guest,
Hmm.
listed all these things he brought, and he mentioned how working with Representative, I believe it's Riley Linting from Roselle, who's our rep, that together they work to get some money for the West Road Bridge, right? That's going
Hmm.
over there in Trenton. Like Republican, like, hey, that's what you have to do. And that's why I think we go back to all politics being local. The more local you are, the more you got to work with people. So
Sure, sure.
again, but back to full circle, the reason I brought this topic is because with Lansing and education budget, I wanted to talk about today what are some perks of the job that are non-compensation and non-days off non-pension, what are some of those perks? What do you got from?
I got five things. Okay. Uh, in no particular order. First, the ability to travel. This is something you and I have both done through the schools. I've been able to travel to Europe multiple times, and I look forward to hopefully doing so again. And that, to me, those were life altering experiences that I will never. I view the world a lot differently after I was able to do these things. So that's number one. Secondly, maybe most importantly, I just the overall, and I'm not using this term loosely, nor am I using it offensively, the lack of ignorance about schools, school funding, and uh, connecting with kids. I think those things, and so I tied those all together. I'm sure you've been in a family function or two where somebody really thinks they know what's going on in schools, and you just have to kind of bite your tongue, or you have to have a polite conversation that will end up being not so polite because what they're saying really does not make a lot of sense, whether it's, again, about what goes on in the schools, how schools are funded and, quote unquote mismanaged and all that stuff, or just, again, the overall connections we make with kids, or just dealing with kids in general. So that's the second thing. Thirdly, I think you would agree with this. This is one I had to put because I love doing it so much. And this is more personal. Not every teacher gets this, but our time in the booth, I hope this goes on for another 30 years. It's outstanding.
Friday night,
Friday
and even
nights,
on a smaller
yes.
level, you and I on Thursday nights,
Yeah,
smaller
yeah. Although
crew.
I
Yeah,
don't get to do those quite as much. Although,
yeah,
after my daughter's done with swimming, I'll probably be back up there more. But it is absolutely, even when we fight and bicker,
yeah. It's a fun
it
time.
it's fun, and so I would love for somebody to be able to just get that feeling because it really is totally outstanding and amazing.
And shout out, by the way,
Oh,
to shout out to the coaching because it's a lot more fun with how great the program's been. I mean, we're very blessed. It's been. I mean, imagine if we,
absolutely.
but it was fun. Thankfully, like even the years we've been doing it, Carlson's always been competitive. They may not have, they
Yeah,
were so. I mean, obviously they've been league champs back to back to back to back. But I mean, even before that, they were competitive, and that makes it a lot more fun too. I don't know if I couldn't imagine if we were getting thumped every week, it would be as fun. We'd still do it.
probably not. But I mean, even the jibes we take back and forth, I just it's really just a positive atmosphere all around, even when it's negative. It still is so much fun being up there. You get a different side of people, and I'll tell you this, I over the years I've mocked Max about how serious he is about everything. The week he took over for you, homecoming day, there was a different side of him, and I've seen it before, but it was so much fun. I think it lends itself to bringing out the best of our personality. So that's really, really cool. Uh, Fourth, the solidarity you have with other teachers. I know that every profession has that, so it's not unique in any way, but you feel that, I surprisingly, our school, most teachers tend to vote a certain way, but we're as divided as this country is politically, we still get along with people in our profession. I think because just we're all in this together, and we're so close, and so I think it's pretty neat in that regard. And then my last one, this came about the summer of 2020 when the unfortunate events happened in Minnesota with George Floyd, and the number of students I had reach out to me, um, it probably, if I really have to stop and list the highlights of my career, at worst that's number two, and it's still probably number one. Just the students who reached out to tell me thank you for what you taught me as long as a decade before. It really made it so some of the struggles I had with trying to teach kids certain things, and I remember talking to a friend of mine named Kevin, who insisted to me, Kevin has unique experience as an African American from Detroit, of never having a positive experience with a white person until he went to college. And so he has a very unique experience. So I taught a couple classes that taught history from a unique perspective. And he said, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to take the lumps and have those students reach out to me like that. He was spot on. And again, I don't know if at this stage in my career, if I really want to go through it's a different world now than it was even 5, 6 years ago. And I don't know if I want to go through those things that I had to put up with, 10, 15 years ago. But at the same time, it was absolutely amazing. I still have some of the screenshots from that time. It was absolutely amazing having the students reach out to me just to talk about those things that they had been exposed to. And I felt really good about myself for that. So those are my five.
Well, I'm going to overlap clearly. So I just put work. One of my list is work can be fun, and I threw in there like the announcing the sporting events. I think
Mhm.
about like how many high school plays would you have gone to? How many OAC awards would you have gone to?
Excellent
Through the
point. Yeah.
years, like school, like events that put on. Dave Brockington puts on some great things. I personally like our graduation ceremony. When I talk to many people that work around that, for us, it's a required event, and I don't mind that at all. I think that's a great thing that we do
Mhm.
that a lot of places don't do. And a lot of
Yeah.
our I give props to like our elementary and middle school teachers that come that they don't have to come, but they
Right.
go to it because they want to be part of it and see these kids doing that. So just being part of all that stuff, even in the years that it's not our kids' year, like I enjoy those things, and like you said, the trips, you mentioned the trips. We've been very blessed to go. I've done Ken Dunwoody's DC trip. I did the inauguration trip with Kelly Sims. We've done trips with in our building, and it's work. It's a lot of work,
It
but
is.
it's stressful because man, I get stressed when I'm traveling. Uh, my family, and then you mentioned you're responsible for some high school kids that aren't even with their families, but it's fun. Um, I think working with teens helps with your patience level. Like it's just something
Absolutely.
that like I think when we talk to most people that don't work in schools and they wonder how, and when you think about it, I think when we do sort of lose it, we all lose it sometimes. But if you put a general person in there that works in the private sector, they would lose their minds within the first week of school.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, and we talk about picking battles, and I think everyone that's lasted and made it realizes there are things that you just have to realize. We've talked about this. You're dealing with people that don't have a fully developed brain that are going to make bad choices, from even your best of best kids to the worst of worst kids. And that's something that having that patience helps you when you're out to get coffee somewhere and the line is long, or you're seeing a poor kid struggling behind the counter compared to just a random person. I feel like when I go to places, I almost feel I try to help these kids along. You know what I mean? And I don't think the general public gets that benefit. We get that from working with, even if the people that are in the general public, if their kids are good and spot on, they don't realize that other kids might be struggling with something or it might be their first day. Like just the other day, I got a car ride when I was dropping my car off to get repaired. It was a young kid that drove me from the dealership to where I met my mom for dinner. And it was a short ride. I was tired. I normally talk to people. I don't know. Have you ever been in these situations? Normally I remember the last time I got a ride in the courtesy car, I talked to the guy the whole way home. I didn't say much. And it was just a couple miles. And the kid parked. He's like, I'm sorry, this is one of my first days. I don't know if I should talk or not. And because I didn't say anything. And I go, listen, man, go ahead and talk. I was just tired. I go, I hope I didn't seem rude, but you never, and if people don't want to talk, they won't talk back. So, but how someone else may have reacted to that, they might have just, said something rude to the kid, right? Like, and
Right.
I wasn't
Right.
going to do that. And then the last one, and you sort of hinted in, you talked about with your people reaching back out to you. I'm going to say it too, just the reward. Not even, I don't want to say reward. And I wrote networking here, but it's not really networking, but in a way it is. It's just the benefit of we have now, we joked around about the 27, 28 years. There are a lot of people from our past that we run into, that we see from all walks of life. And it's great to see those people. It's great to hear their stories. We've had them on as guests. um that's something that a lot of other fields don't get. That's one of the biggest perks we talked about, is like hearing back from people about, hey, I'm doing this or that, or now we have some, right, that their kids are going through and we see them as parents, or some of them come back and work with us, which is something else we have, you know what I mean? And
Right.
that is truly an uncompensated perk of every year we're seeing roughly 300 kids, right, in a grade cycle through, right, or 1100, whatever it may be, amongst four grades. And are you going to make a connection with every one of those and remember everyone as you see? No, but a lot you're going to, and it's something that's really an unpaid perk, in my opinion, one of the
Mhm.
best.
Yeah, agree. And it's one that we'll probably carry with us for the rest of our lives, frankly, in a lot of ways. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I think I really like this topic. I think this topic, because a lot of times all you hear about is, so and so is underpaid, or What's my, what are our what's the vacation days, this or that. And I think a lot of times it's important to focus on this stuff. And I think this is what the people that we're the ones that know this because we've been around for 20 some odd years, right? We know this stuff. This is what really keeps you in. This is what's
Mhm.
keeping you in, right? Like, of course. So good.
Yep, great topic, great
All
topic.
right. Yeah, I'd love to hear what any other else, teachers think or people that know some teachers or whatever. All right, overrated, underrated. It seems to have finally come to an end, but this long summer, thanks, Albert Gore, finally came to an end. It's funny, yesterday, we're recording on the 8th. Yesterday, it was warm, right, in the morning. It rained. It was still warm at 3 o'clock. I still remember this because, like, I took the dog out. I had to take the dog to the vet. So, like, 3 to 4 o'clock, it was warm. Got home, ate some dinner or whatever. Then all of a sudden, like, 6:30 rolled around. That front came through. I was in shorts.
Yeah,
I took the dog out, and all of a sudden, it was cold. Like,
yeah, it was cold. By the time you woke up yet this morning, it was in the 40s. It was like a
yeah,
crazy, crazy drop. Yeah.
yeah. So and we knew that was coming. So my overrated, underrated, this long extended summer. What do you got as overrated?
The constant complaining about it. Like
Okay.
when's the fall gonna come? Like, listen, I know that a lot of people like the fall and that middling temperature, but to me, all it reminds me of is what's about to come. And the winter gets to me. It gets to me to the point by the time February rolls around, I'm done. And just the cold, the bone chilling cold that you go
Yeah,
outside and
February. I
walking
just
in the sleet, the nastiness out there. I can't wear my Kobe's in the sleet. So to me, man, I stop complaining, enjoy it. I did. The classrooms were a little warm. I had to take refuge in the library some of those days,
yes,
although some schools don't have air at all. So I'm not going to complain too
yeah.
much about that. But man, just enjoy this because you know, Al Gore can eat his heart out. We
I will tell you this. I love today. Like today, this like
You're right.
65. I
Yes.
mean, I loved. I walked this morning at Ella actually had me up by 4:15, and I was like, whatever, I'm just going. And so I had to wear. I wore pants and a hoodie, and it was crisp. I mean, that's
Hmm.
the term people use around here for fall. It was crisp. I didn't feel like I needed a winter hat. But the day, like when I walked out of school and I had a long sleeve, no, I had a short sleeve polo on, looks, the red shirt and long pants, and it was like I could walk out. And I wasn't hot. I wasn't cold. Dr. Rice, thank you, child. Dr. Rice gave me a car to go pick up, gave me a ride to go pick up my car, and I have my own car back now, so that's good. But perfect day in my book. Dream weather is a little warmer, like if for the everyday thing, like I wanted to be about 73.
Yeah,
You know what I
72,
mean? Like,
73.
yeah,
Agree.
but I'll take the 65. All right, my overrated. I think you're going to agree with me on this. The extended life of all these damn bees, like they should be long gone by
Oh
now,
yeah, you're right.
and they're
Very
at
good.
their worst right now. This is like
Yeah,
when they're at their worst, but they
they're at
should have
their
been
worst.
gone about a week or two ago, I think.
Yeah,
And I worked the golf course last week, and the Metro Park popped in, and he's telling me he got stung in his vehicle, and he's like,
yeah.
I'm like, they should be gone by now.
They're
That's an
desperate.
that's an
It's their
easy
desperate.
overrated.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, going to sit in any of these soccer or football games, and you got to fight them off
Maybe
constantly. So
and
that's a
it's
very
even
good
and
one.
I don't even think this frost tonight is going to be enough. We're recording this on Wednesday. That there's like a frost alert. I think we need because you need like a couple. Some of those, man, those tough ones, the
Yeah,
survival of the fittest, they stick around, but they're on their last days. So
yeah.
and you're right, they are at their worst now. Okay, underrated. What do you got?
Okay, so again, as a person that likes the warmth, I got my hair cut the other day by a person who again had to show me my neck that was, the
Oh,
old
yep.
passed
Mine never
away.
does that.
Oh, every time, man. But she was
Yeah.
great. We were talking about different things, and she was going to the beach. She was going up north this past weekend and was going to go to a beach. Like, who would have thought in
October.
October you're
Yep.
going to the beach? How cool is that? So I just thought it was a nice story. That's an underrated story. You get to go to the beach as late as October. That's pretty darn cool.
I believe people are more excited about like an 80-degree because we've had these like in March, right?
Hmm.
Like there'll be an 80-degree day in March. People love those. Those are
Yeah,
great. I mean, it's the only problem is it's such a mess out, right? Like everything's wet and
wet
gross.
and yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whereas now in the fall, an 80-degree, it's still, it's been so dry here. But man, I always, to me, I always love it. And actually, we've had some days, thanks Al Gore, like in December, right? That like snuck up in the 60s, right? Like I
yeah.
remember so you never know. My underrated, and I sort of hinted at it, it's twofold. One, as I up until Wednesday, I still before that because it didn't rain, the rain didn't come till later. I was still walking around in shorts and t-shirts for my morning walks at 5 in the morning,
Hmm.
pre-sunrise. Like, and the golf course. I've been working at the course. The course has been packed, sold
Yeah.
out.
Right.
So like these things that like at that time of day, it's not even that bad. It's not that it's actually still like a cool morning. So being able to do those outdoor things, we talked about it. I mean, the homecoming dance was hot, but it was the one of the best picture days, I think, in the last 5 or 6 years for these kids to take pictures. Everyone's
Hmm.
pictures should look great. So it's just that sort of like being able to do those June, July things still into late September and early October. That's the underrated.
Yep, agree. I think that's kind of what I gave a specific one. Yours is more general, but we're on the same page here.
And it does sort of look like we're not, because like some people, their fear is too, oh, we're going to go from 80 to like a high of 40. And we're not doing that. It looks like we got a steady week of like
Yeah,
60s low. So
60s,
that's
mid
what
to low.
people,
Yeah.
that's what people want. And it's still only the 8th of October. So I'm guessing you have like a week or two of that left. And then you start getting the occasional day. And now we'll get into the game too, right? In our group text, who's going to turn the furnace on
Who's
first?
gonna turn it on first? Yeah.
Yeah. So right now in my house, it's 70 degrees. We're recording this about 8 o'clock on Wednesday. It's 70 degrees. I think we're gonna be all right. And the good thing is, like, I have the advantage. I'm upstairs. The upstairs always would get colder first, like Chloe's room over there. Kids are gone, empty nest. It's just Elisa, me, and the dog downstairs. I think I'm gonna try to hold out a little longer this year.
Is that how is are you finding if the house is too big for the two of you right now?
Well, yeah, probably. But like Chloe's coming home this week. It's not like they're like 27 or
Yeah,
25.
true,
You know what I mean?
true.
So Chloe's coming home this weekend. It's parents' weekend, and I think Nate's gonna come home for Michigan State. These kids get these not parents' weekend. It's fall break. They get the fall break, sort of like what we have. Um, but I'm thankful. Like I said, my master and my bedroom's on the main floor. So even if it is big, maybe I'll rent it out to people. I don't know, maybe upstairs, like make it Airbnb or VRBO.
So many directions my mind's going right now, but that's pretty funny.
All right, hot mic take. What do you got this week?
So I was, watching the Tiger game, game three. They got
Hmm.
blown. Well, they made it somewhat interesting late, but they were getting blown out. So I had to wander a little bit on the television, and I turned on an old movie. I'm curious. Have you seen the movie Boys in the Hood?
I did see it way back when it came out. I probably can't recollect a ton of stuff from it. I did watch it.
Okay, so there's a lot to the movie, and watching it now. uh, you could see I don't know if cheesy part, I don't know if that's the right word because it's not a cheesy movie at all, but it's a 90s movie. It's dated. It's very
Okay.
dated. But I gotta tell you, like it's still a wonderful movie. I still enjoyed every second of it, except when spoiler alert, Ricky gets killed. Everybody, that's a very sad scene. Um, but the main or one of the main characters in the film, Furious Styles, the dad. Now as an adult, I connected with that character so much. And it's not necessarily obviously here I am in the suburbs and he was in the inner city, on the West Coast and we're in Michigan. But the utmost respect I had for him, his character as a dad, was amazing as a speaker. There's a scene in that movie, and again, as a seventh or eighth grader, as a 12th grader, I wouldn't have appreciated it as much. Even as a college student, probably not as much. But he takes his son and his son's friend out to Compton and has some of the neighbors, the people living in the area come, and he gives this really powerful speech, and it's just absolutely amazing. And I just kind of thought to myself, that was such an outstanding role on so many ways. I've just in my admiration for his character, my respect for him as a father, my respect for his views and his strong stances. Um, and so this is almost becomes an overrated, underrated. That's like I think that is one of the most underrated roles of all time. Lawrence Fishburne as Furious Styles. He was top notch. In fact, offhand, I'm sure there's other ones. I'm sure I'll get corrected. That to me, that is the most underrated role of all time. So that's my hot mic topic. I watched it last night. As a 47-year-old man, it was outstanding watching it now.
That's funny. You watch it now, and when we watched it when we were younger, we were looking at it as like all the kids, right, or the young adults. And now you look back and you're like viewing it through the dad's eyes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's more of the
yeah.
that's what I sort of hinted to this when we talked about this. And again, I'm not piling on baseball, but in a way I sort of am. So the game, what was that? Game three, right? Had the rain delay. That would have been Wednesday, right?
Hmm.
And well, even to begin with, all I said in a group text, because like what happened is the Tiger game got delayed, so they ended up bumping it off of FS1, I believe, to FS2, because
Hmm.
heaven forbid the Yankees. Uh,
Right. And I didn't know FS2 existed
I
until
didn't
that
even know
moment.
FS2. And I saw, and again, I know we love to always bring up Downriver and Friends. And I'm not, this is actually a sad thing. I saw people like posting on Downriver and Friends. They were going to a bar to watch it, and some of these bars didn't have FS2. You know, these bars, it's very expensive to carry these commercial feeds, of channels. It's not like you and I paying our bill, or streaming. And all I said in our group text was imagine, because this was equivalent to the divisional round weekend of the NFL. Wouldn't you agree?
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
wild card, it's the divisional weekend, which some people say is the best weekend of NFL playoff football. When you just go front to back, you get rid of the bad wild card teams.
Yes.
So every
Yes.
game is pretty much a good game. You have a lot of games. It's not just the conference championships. You have multiple games. So a lot of people really look forward. And you have division, the divisional weekend is something that people look forward to. I just said in a text, imagine the NFL having divisional playoff games on some second tier network and not CBS, ESPN/ABC, or NBC. I know in the wild card, believe me, the Steelers were on it last year. They had one, right? It was streaming. It was like Amazon, right? Or YouTube, one of
Hmm.
the two, because that's what the NFL is eventually going to. But
Absolutely.
that was wild card weekend. And that's where you have, for the most part, the NFL wild card weekend hasn't really been that great, and I'm not just saying that as a Steeler fan who's uh, seen them sort of embarrass themselves. But divisional round, I could not imagine. Like I'm going to watch the divisional round of the playoffs, and and there's weather delays sometimes in the NFL. We've seen it with lightning and stuff in Florida. And imagine them saying, "Hey, this Jacksonville, who's right, very good right now, they beat Kansas City. This Jacksonville home playoff game is in a storm delay. We're going to delay it instead of it being on, Fox. It's going to be on FS2." Roger Goodell would lose his mind. First of
Right.
all, it wouldn't even have been on Fox Sports One. It would have been on Fox. Okay.
Correct.
Again, this just goes to show you the issue Major League Baseball had. And I watched the Tigers game today. The crowd was great. I thought they were pretty brutal, booing pretty bad when it got to be 3-0. I mean,
It
like,
was looking bad. I mean, it was looking
well,
pretty
I know the
dire at
game
that
was
point.
looking bad, but I'm like, okay, well, it's a playoff game, and it's not the.
You correct. Yes.
I,
Yes.
I get it. You're upset, and part because like even the commentators mentioned that fans were, and again, I guess you have a right to boo. I'm never one to say you don't have a right to boo, but
It is a playoff game. You're right. And they're paying a team that to me is superior to them.
well,
And
yes, this goes. We've said this before. The Tigers are not that good. Even after today's win, it's nothing. I'm
yeah.
not trying to be rude. I said this to Dr. Rice earlier. They're just not a good team. Just look at like when you look at the roster and you think of like the previous Tiger playoff teams. I'm not
Yeah. Oh
talking last year.
yeah.
I'm talking this generation of Tigers playoff
Sure.
teams, and you compare it to what we had in our runs earlier. They're not good. They're just.
No.
It's not. It's like
I mean, at that
I used to
time,
you used to be able to list the roster up and down, and then maybe there
yeah,
was
and you
two
had
guys that you would be like, okay, whatever, they're an out.
at least three starters you would feel really comfortable with, and usually four and sometimes even five. Now you got one. Um, the bullpen was a bit shaky, but their lineup was just
Yes.
loaded, and
Yes. And now
it's
you
just
don't have that. And
no,
again,
no,
they may very well win game 5. They have their ace going.
neither right.
I mean, they have it the way they want it. You're on the road, but you're not, I mean, again, that they won one game out there already. There's nothing saying they can't win a second, but they're just not that good as far
Right.
as a hitting roster. They're just, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. It was like me last year saying with the Steelers when they made the playoffs. They're not that good of a team. They
Yeah.
made the playoffs. They just weren't that good.
Right. And ultimately games aren't played on paper. So,
Yeah.
but on paper, I'm saying it like Seattle to me in every conceivable way is just better.
And
And
I and
credit
I
to
and I
AJ
sort of agree.
Hinch.
I agree with like Mike Valeni, who was on our wall. The longer of a series, the less chance the Tigers have of winning it. And this is another thing. I'm not trying to be poo-poo anything, but that's why he was sure of them winning the 3 game. He had
Mm-hmm.
confidence in them winning the 5 game. And then once they get into the 7 game, not only are you playing better teams, so you have that factor because of the team that goes on, but the longer a series goes, it just the better players are going to produce. Just
Right.
we're talking simple math. So
Sure.
all right. That's good. Good week. And again, I hope they win. I don't want people to think, oh, I hate the Tigers. I'm not. I
Well,
hope they win.
let's move that into our prediction arena as well. We can
Game
do game
five,
five.
game 5 on
Yeah.
Friday. All
Yep.
right, so that will start with that then, because that's going to be the first game, Game 5 on Friday in lovely Seattle. They also have to travel west. Not as big of a deal for baseball, I think.
I don't think Scooball can lose to Seattle 4 times in the season, so I'm going to
That's
pick the
true.
Tigers
They've had his
to win
number.
this. They have, so I'm going to say the Tigers win this game 2-1.
Will they pitch Scooble longer than they have in previous games, if needed? If it's,
Yes, I think they will.
would they like go like, oh, like 90, 100 pitches? You think?
They might even go 105, 110. I think
So
that
if they're up like 2-1 and it's the eighth inning, you're not pulling
yeah,
them.
because again, there's this bull. Do you trust anybody in the bullpen at the
No,
moment? I
no,
don't trust another starter. Like
it would be interesting to see that. I think of those, we talk about the old, like Verlander out in Oakland and in the game, like the games that they had to win, I think of those. So, I'm going to take the Tigers too. I don't think he loses twice in a series.
right.
I just don't think it happens. Lose. I don't think was he the losing pitcher record though? He wasn't, was he in that game? I don't think he was.
That's a good point. So maybe he's not.
But I'm still saying
No,
games
because they
he's I'm
they
just talking about
tied
games.
it.
I'm just talking about games
Correct.
he started, is what I mean.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Michigan at USC. There's already some smack talk going on about this. About I think like they're talking about like how there'll be more Michigan fans in the Coliseum and
Yeah,
this and that.
Sharon Moore took a little dig. I'm gonna my heart says Michigan, my head says USC. I'm gonna go with my heart on this one. Michigan 27-24. I think SC turns the ball over enough to allow Michigan to win. USC will gain 440 yards to Michigan's 320 or something like that, but their 3 or 4 turnovers will be the difference.
See, I still think Michigan's defense is still a good strength and very strong, and I still think that wins games against teams that aren't way better than you, that aren't like like what I'm saying is like Michigan's a good team, USC's an okay team, and I think that defense is going to be the difference. I think Michigan wins. I'm not even giving a score, but they just win out there.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
you don't ever get scores. Then we got UCLA coming to East Lansing. I don't even know the time of that. I should look up the time.
Not sure.
I don't think they're kicking off at 11 p.m. Who do you got in this one? They're coming off a huge win off Penn State over Penn State.
And they do have, I think Childs is playing really well, though he struggled quite a bit. He took a mean hit in that
Yeah,
Nebraska
should have
game.
stayed out.
Yeah, but I think UCLA has the better quarterback. He's a transfer from Tennessee, best player in the field. But I think Michigan State wins. I think they win rather convincingly, somewhat convincingly. So I'm gonna Michigan State by 2 touchdowns.
I think they win too, although I don't know if I sent this to Nate. Boston College got
Oh,
thumped by Pitt.
thumped. Yes, they
Not a
did.
very good, not a very good Pitt team. But they
No,
did change their quarterback. The previous guy was struggling, so you never know. But man, that makes me worried. I know the transitive properties doesn't mean
it doesn't
anything,
work. Right, right, right.
but that sort of opened up my eyes a little bit. That like, oh man, because the ACC hasn't anything to brag about. But I'll still take. I think Michigan State wins. They better win because if not, they're in trouble. Because they're
Yeah,
going to
big
Indiana,
trouble.
then they got Michigan. It's although the Penn State game may not be that much to worry about now. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, NFL. We have Cleveland with Joe Flacco. No, without Joe Flacco.
No,
I'm sorry.
without
I'm
Joe.
mixing up the
Dylan
Ohio team.
Dylan Gabriel, lefty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cleveland is at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is coming off the bye. The first place Steelers, unbelievable. The only AFC North team with their starting quarterback from day
So yeah,
one, 40
yeah.
year old Aaron Rodgers, 41. So who do you got in that game?
I'm going Cleveland. I think they've been flirting with victory for a while. The only game they lost that they really lost was the Lions game.
Let me
So
tell you this: they're not as bad as their record says. Their defense is going to keep them in every game. They beat a good Green Bay team. They should have beat Baltimore, which now doesn't look like the Lions went over. Nobody's went over Baltimore. Looks like that big of a deal.
no, but
Um,
let me interrupt you for a second. Baltimore the first week and all this shoulda coulda stuff, but they had Buffalo. They
yeah, but
lost New
now
England this
Buffalo. Yeah,
week. Yes, but they had Buffalo on the road. I mean, they were on the deathbed of that game, and Baltimore had to find a way to lose it. But that one, Baltimore being a bad team is a last 2 week thing. That's not they weren't a bad team in the first 3 weeks. I think
I
this
want to say
is
this. I want to say this right now. I still don't think Pittsburgh's that good, but they beat New England in New England. Okay,
yeah,
now everyone's high on New England now. They're like that's
yeah.
their and their one loss was at home to Seattle. Okay. And they were in that game. And then we talked about fumbled kickoffs. Heck,
Hmm.
the Steeler didn't even field the kickoff. It went into the end
Right.
zone and they handed them 7 points and the game just shifted on it. That was in the third quarter, late in the third. I'm not making excuses, but maybe they are good. I don't know. I don't know.
Listen,
If in reality, if they're good, they play Cleveland this week. They play Cincinnati on the road the following Thursday. They need to win these two games and be 5-1, and
I
then
think.
they're
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. That if they blow one of these two games, then they're not that good.
There's a thin line between good and above average in the NFL. It's a very thin line.
Oh yeah, look at Kansas
So
City.
yeah,
And
right.
speaking of
That's
that,
yeah,
Detroit
it's
goes to Kansas City.
good
Now that loss
segue.
to Jacksonville, I think that's the worst thing that could have happened for the Lions because man, I thought maybe you could have caught them sleeping, but I, I'm going to go first here. I think Kansas City wins the game.
Do you really?
Yep,
I
I do.
I worry the Lions secondary injury situation is an absolute cause for concern, but I think Kansas City's time has come and gone. I don't know how they made the Super Bowl last year, but I think their time is over. So this is I'm tell if I my power rankings lines are number one in the NFL right now.
A lot of
But
people's.
again, the line between 1 and 10 is pretty small. But in this case, I think the Lions are better. I think Kansas City is that they could. What are they right now? They 2-2, 2-3. What is
Two
their
and three,
record
I
at?
think. Two
Two
and
and
three because
three.
they haven't had a bye week.
I mean, it's conceivable this year that they hover around 500 all year. So I do think the Lions win this game.
I just don't think it's going to be as easy as people think. It's
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but I think they're
they're
better.
sort of this is like a. I mean, the one thing is I always say losing to an NFC team is not the worst thing in the world. If you're an AFC team, like an interconference game does not hurt you as much as
Right.
obviously a team within your conference or your obviously your division is the worst. Conference is even worse, but like the Steelers losing to Seattle, that's probably the best loss they could have had, other than maybe Minnesota, because it's an NFC team and it does the least amount of damage. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, all right, well, that looks like everything today. We'll see how well we do with these picks and go from there, right? Carlson
Yep. We'll see.
is at. Oh, speaking of picks, we're not picking
Oh,
high school game. Carlson, big
oh,
game at Woodhaven.
unbeaten. Battle of
Larry
the
Williams, I'm
unbeaten.
sure Larry Williams will be there
Why don't we
working
call
with
it the
George.
Larry
Shout out to
Williams
Larry.
Bowl, the Larry Bowl,
Yeah, because he's worked in both schools.
both
So
schools?
he made it. He makes no. He's a Woodhaven guy. I mean, that's where
Yeah.
he lives and that's where his kids are, even though he worked here with us. But yeah, it's going to be a big game, good game. We're not doing any picks, but should be a good football game.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Speaking of that too, it was nice to see Mr. Tony, Mr. Tony, Mr. Tony when we played
Always
South
great to
Lake
see
that
Mr.
Sunday.
Another Carlson,
A guy that's been all
Woodhaven,
over, really.
everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
name it, he's been there. So
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. All right, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you next week.